What is going on YouTube? Austin Zay back here with another YouTube video, and in today's video we're going to talk about something extremely exciting that just happened, and that is I was featured in a reaction video. As a big YouTube fan and somebody that has been watching YouTube for a long time, I was really excited to be featured not only in a reaction video, but in Pewdiepie's reaction video, okay? Where he was actually reacting to a video that I was featured in by Jubilee Media titled, "Do All Millionaires Think the Same?" For those of you that don't know who Pewdiepie is, although I have no idea how you wouldn't know who Pewdiepie is, he's the, I believe, second biggest YouTuber at the time of making today's video, okay, next to a production company in India called T-Series, which I actually didn't know until I researched it right before making this video because I thought PewDiePie was #1. So I guess rest in peace, PewDiePie. Hopefully, eventually you get back to being #1. Anyways, nonetheless, he's a pretty big deal here on YouTube, okay? So the fact that I got to be able to be in a video where he was reacting to was pretty freaking cool. And I've got to say, I was actually inspired to make this video by a guy by the name of Stephan, if you're familiar, and he actually has a YouTube channel where he talks a lot about personal finances and stocks and real estate. And I've got to say, he has some really loyal subscribers who continuously smash the like button on every single one of his videos, which is really impressive. And I just want to say that maybe one day I can have as big of a fan base as Graham that also continuously smash the like button. So anyways, it doesn't hurt to dream big, obviously. That is what I've been preaching for, I guess, the majority of my life. So anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the video.
He's a multi-millionaire. Please welcome Tim Sykes.
All right, I don't care who they are, I'm sorry. They're all 6 millionaires with different values and beliefs. I am self-made. Hold up.
Okay, so PewDiePie skipped the part where everybody was introducing themselves, which is probably a good thing here on YouTube. I believe everybody likes reaction videos where people are a bit more fired up, okay? Where people are a bit more surprised. And basically, yeah, PewDiePie has no idea who we are at this point. So let's go ahead and jump into it.
Do all millionaires think the same? Today we find out. A millionaire.
I will also say PewDiePie sitting on the floor talking about his $0 million net worth just shows his self-deprecating humor and overall his humility. He seems like a really down-to-earth guy that has absolutely zero problem with saying exactly what is on his mind. So this will be pretty freaking interesting.
I just generally think people becoming rich is such a fluke that that doesn't mean they didn't work for it, but it's so much luck involved in it.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'm 50-50 on the statement that all people that are successful get lucky. I mean, I just don't believe that really to be 100% true. I've been in real estate for about 6 years, and overall I've started multiple other companies over the last probably 5 years. Some of which have failed miserably, okay? Actually, like miserably. I've lost a lot of money. And other ones have succeeded and I've made a lot of money, okay? So pretty much everything in between. And don't get me wrong, for me personally, I've definitely been at the right place in my life at the right time with the right people, and all of the stars aligned, and it just so happened that I was there and I took action and I made it happen. But even after being at the right place at the right time with the right people, like I said, I had to take action, and I had to take calculated action in that moment. So I think for me, it was where luck met preparation, met like execution. I mean, it wasn't just luck, because if you get lucky, it's not like you still have to take action. I will say though, I've definitely met a lot of people in my life where it was a bit more luck than it was execution or it being like planned out. I'm not gonna lie, there's definitely people that I know personally, even friends of mine that, and they are good people, okay? But you know, for sure, they got a little bit more lucky, right? It took a little bit less time, they had more success in a shorter period of time, and overall, it just came to them easier than it came to other people. I really think this is one of those things that can go either way. I think for some people, they can definitely get lucky. They can come from a wealthy family, they can win the lottery, and I think there's different ways where you can like genuinely get lucky, okay? But I think for a lot of people, you know, they had to work really hard and they had to save their money and they had to invest and they had to reinvest. And, you know, overall, it took a lot of time to get to where they're at. And I do think that it is a 50-50 kind of scenario in my opinion, at least from everything that I've seen in my life. It isn't just one way or the other. And I think that in itself can go both ways. I know people that came from a wealthy family and they just kind of like were born into money. And I know people that were like that are very humble, right? And they're very down to earth, and they give a lot of money back, and you would never know in a million years that they came from a wealthy family. The opposite is also true. I know people that came from money and they're not humble, okay? They have an ego. You can tell they came from money, and in no way, shape, or form are they like relatable. They just like, they act like they just like have it all, and they are like the man or the woman or whatever. And the same thing applies to people that earned their money, that didn't come from money and that didn't get like quote unquote lucky. They worked for a really long time, and they had all this sacrifice, and they had to like do all of these different things to become successful that had in no way, shape, or form anything to do with luck. And they eventually like get to that like destination, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they have this huge ego. They think they're all that, and they're like flashy, and they just are like boastful. But again, the opposite is also true. I know people that like it took all of that time to get to where they're at, and they eventually get again to the destination, and now they're like really humble, and they like give back to their community, and they give back to their church, and whatever the case is. And so I was poor mentally, and I was broke financially.
But were you happy?
I mean, I wasn't.
What the hell? Why are you happy? He said he was poor financially or mentally as well. Like,
okay, I actually really like this one. He goes, well, were you happy? Basically, in my opinion, he's actually saying that money buys happiness on some level. And he actually, in my opinion, contradicts himself later on in the video, which we're going to watch here in just a moment. So, you know, basically what I was saying is that I was poor mentally and I was poor financially. And then she's like, but were you happy? And then PewDiePie is like he almost is actually basically, again, saying that on some level, money buys happiness. And this isn't to say like money makes you happy, okay? Or that like if you don't have any money, you can't be happy. Or if you have a ton of money, like, no. Money can buy like joy. I don't think money can buy true love. I don't think money can buy family, obviously. Like at your inner core, like, yeah, you got to be like happy with yourself and with your family, and you know, you've got to be in love, and you got to like find somebody you can marry or whatever. But overall, there's a lot of things that money can buy. So money can buy joy, in my opinion. It can buy moments of joy. So like you go and you buy a boat, or you buy a truck, or you buy a new house or whatever, and you're joyful for a short period of time. There's actually science like proving this, okay? Big gurus even talk about this. So like you experience moments of joy. Now, nobody is truly happy, in my opinion, 100% of the time. No different than nobody that is truly sad is sad 100% of the time. Even people that are sad, like majority sad, probably experience moments of joy. And people that have a lot of moments of joy probably experience moments of sadness. It really just goes to show that nobody's actually happy 100% of the time, right? I mean, like, come on, you know, I would say that I'm overall like a fairly happy guy, but like I'm not happy 100% of the time. And I know people that are overall like fairly sad, like they're actually, for whatever reason, something's happening in their life, you know, they're going through something, there's like a major like bad season in their life, but even them, they have moments of joy, they experience moments of happiness. And I think so many times we get caught up in like, we've got to be happy 100% of the time to be happy, and that couldn't be further from the truth, in my opinion. Overall, I think happiness is just about being grateful, and it is about looking at the things that you do have rather than looking at the things that you don't have. And also, it is about like enjoying the journey and making progress towards the destination, which is kind of another point in itself, which I'll save to another video, but there is no destination. Everybody's like, when I get to blank, I'll be happy, or when I like buy that, I'll be happy, or when I do this, I'll be happy. But it is all about the journey, right? If you can learn to enjoy the journey, then you can ultimately have way more like moments of joy, therefore being happier a majority of the time.
I think there should be a little
average people. Yeah, they are average people millionaire. I see what he's trying to say though, because everyone likes to pick on millionaires and be like, more taxes, when in reality these huge companies are avoiding so much.
Okay, I figured I would touch on the Amazon tax thing just a little bit really quick. I'm not going to dive too much into this because I do think that there's probably some companies that get away with murder, and they probably shouldn't, okay? So Amazon's low tax bill actually stemmed from the Republican tax cut, okay, of 2017, where they could carry forward their losses from previous years because they weren't actually profitable. And essentially, they could credit that towards, years where they were profitable, which is why in 2018, they didn't have to pay a ton of like federal income tax, okay? But they still had to pay a ton of money. I think it was like $2.6 billion. And they had to pay all of their employees and their employees' taxes, all of their property taxes. And I think Jeff Bezos even pledged like $10 billion to a fund where they're gonna help like the universe or the world. Overall, I think most wealthy people actually contribute, most companies even, and most wealthy people contribute. They pay taxes. It might look and feel different than like your average 9-to-5 worker. Obviously, that's part of like running a multi-billion or trillion-dollar corporation, but overall, they are contributing for the most part. They do, again, they help out, they contribute, they give to different foundations. I know a lot of wealthy people. Again, I will say the opposite is also true. In my opinion, it is just a smaller degree. I do know wealthy people that like are not good people. Okay, I know companies even that in all reality, they probably are getting away with murder. And in my opinion, those people and those companies always get the short end of the stick eventually, right? Like you've all heard the saying, like what goes around comes around. And I really believe, in my honest opinion, that they will end up having bad karma. And I just kind of like let it ride out. I don't typically have a ton of opinions on this. It just honestly takes too much energy. Like I'm not one of those guys that just like has an opinion on everything.
I would disagree. I think the most expensive thing I own is my car, and that's just like $60,000.
Okay, really quick, I doubt that the most expensive thing that PewDiePie owns is a $60,000 car, okay? I mean, I know he said he owns a bunch of property. I don't know if you caught that, but I would imagine he owns like a lot of property, or at least like one really big property, probably the house that he's sitting in right now. And I mean, a $60,000 car, maybe he owns a $60,000 car now. I don't know. I just... PewDiePie's been making, I mean, just based on like the facts, he's been making a lot of money probably for like a long time now. And I would just imagine that he probably owns or has owned a car, a house, or something more expensive than $60,000. Also, he said he's never in his life spent an absurd amount of money. I mean, let's just look at one of his old videos here for a minute. I mean, it's like 2017. I mean, his gaming setup alone is probably like 30 grand, okay? Like, I mean, those gaming computers can't be cheap. I mean, the gaming chair he's sitting in, the monitors, the lighting, the equipment, the cameras, the audio equipment. I mean, these things are really expensive, okay? Now, he probably has a lot of sponsors, I will say. But I mean, at one point in his life, he's had to spend an absurd amount of money. I mean, like, first of all, define absurd. I mean, what even is absurd? I feel like that in itself is a speculative term. I don't know. I disagree.
The point I'm about to make is that people look at me and they're like, oh, he doesn't have any problems because he has money.
He talks again about money not solving problems. I think that is a little bit different than a little while ago where he was talking about happiness. I think money solves a lot of problems. As long as one of the problems isn't happiness, okay? Normal like day-to-day life problems, I feel like money solves a lot of this. Like, I don't know, like your car got a flat tire, like, you need a gym membership, you need to buy food, like a roof over your head, whatever, like just like normal problems. I feel like money solves a lot of those, but not like again, that isn't like happiness like we talked about a little while ago.
And you have statistics and actual studies showing that people that win the lottery end up more miserable because their whole life got changed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of people that win the lottery, in my opinion, that they were so used to making like this certain amount of money like their whole life. Like they knew everything about that number, right? Whatever that number was, like 40 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand, like they knew everything about that number, right? Like they knew what car they could afford on 40 grand. They knew what food they could afford, what restaurants they could afford to go to, what restaurants they couldn't afford to go to. They pretty much knew everything about that number. And then all of a sudden, like literally out of the blue, in a matter of like one day, all of this money just like comes into their life and it's like out of the blue. I could see how that could cause some problems because overall they didn't like get any better mentally, right? Like their mental set point didn't get any better. They didn't like read a bunch of books or like learn the skills necessary to maintain that money. Like they didn't evolve over time like it normally takes to become successful. So I think that in itself causes a lot of people that like obtain money really quickly to be unhappy because they don't know what to do. Like, it's just like random.
If I wake up every morning and if I meditate and if I do a jog and if I have this same routine as these successful people have, then it will happen to you too as well. But
so now he's talking about like millionaires selling the dream, like if they meditate, like basically like millionaires selling, like he's saying millionaires sell the dream of like if you meditate every day and you have this like morning routine and whatever, then anybody can become successful. I don't know, I think on some level that's true. I mean, I think that a lot of like wealthier people, especially on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, you know, they have these like foundational things in their life that have made them become successful. And I think that is what a lot of people like. I mean, even me, I talk about like my morning routine. I talk about different things that I do on my channel, you know, investing in this stock or investing in real estate. And those foundational things in a nutshell were what allowed me to become successful, right? So it isn't necessarily saying that if you wake up at 6 a.m. and read a book, you're gonna automatically become successful. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into it. And I don't know, if anybody's saying like you can just like read a book and become successful, then I probably wouldn't listen to somebody like that. Overall, I really liked PewDiePie's video. I really liked being in Jubilee's video. I think overall, the things that he said were fairly on point, okay? Definitely a couple of things that I disagreed with, and definitely a couple of things that I did agree with. And I thought it was really cool that he made a reaction video. And I thought it was really cool that I got to have the opportunity to make a reaction video to a reaction video, okay? So overall, really cool. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would smash that like button, okay? That way, eventually, like I said, maybe we can get on Graham's level someday. I'd imagine it'll probably take a really long time and a lot of hard work, but I would love to give it a try. Until then, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.